They call them the Enkindlers, gods who seeded the stars with wisdom and left behind a trail of miracles for the lesser races to follow. They are the foundation of the Hanar faith, the secret patrons of the Asari, the great mystery that propelled humanity from its cradle. And everything you think you know about them is a lie, a gilded myth, polished by 50,000 years of ignorance and wishful thinking. My network deals in truth, not comfort, and the truth is a corpse that has waited millennia for an autopsy. But first, an announcement. While you've been decoding transmissions, another operation has been unfolding behind the scenes. An interactive simulation is being developed by some of our network's agents, born from our transmissions and the phantom operatives we've created together. Soon, you will enter what you once only observed. Small in scope, it remains in the shadows, still classified. If you want to stay close to the operation, join our secure Discord channel. Now, let us return to the briefing. Welcome to File ME2148, the Prothean Archive. Let's begin the dissection. To understand the lie, you must first understand its architecture. The myth of the benevolent Prothean is the cornerstone of the modern galactic era. It began with the discovery of their ruins, scattered like divine breadcrumbs across dozens of worlds. On the Hanar homeworld, Kaji, these ruins were interpreted as a sign of divinity. The Protheans became their enkindlers, the beings who gifted them with language and civilization. An entire species culture, religion, and social structure built on a misinterpretation of an abandoned outpost. The Asari were more pragmatic, but no less deceptive. For centuries, they cultivated an aura of being the galaxy's most enlightened and evolutionarily advanced species. The truth, hidden away on Thessia inside a statue of their goddess Athame, was a Prothean beacon. Their rapid advancement, their innate biotic superiority, it wasn't a product of natural evolution. It was a curated project. The Protheans had been guiding them, uplifting them for a purpose we will dissect later. The matriarchs knew this. They hid the truth and wielded the lie as a political weapon for 1,000 years. And then there is humanity. The discovery of a Prothean observation post on Mars in 2148 was the catalyst for your species' leap to the stars. But it also confirmed what some had long suspected. You were being watched, studied. Homo sapiens, evolving on Earth, were little more than a biological experiment to the empire that ruled the stars. This discovery gave birth to interventionary evolutionist theories, a fringe belief that ancient gods were merely misremembered encounters with these aliens. Fringe, perhaps, but closer to the truth than anyone in the Alliance would care to admit. All of these discoveries fed into one galaxy-spanning falsehood: that the Protheans built the mass relays and the Citadel, that they were the architects of galactic travel, the master engineers who gifted civilization to all. It is a comforting thought. It implies order, purpose. It suggests that the tools you use every day were built by wise hands. But the Citadel was not a gift. It was a trap. And the Protheans were simply the last insects to be caught in it. Now, let us peel back the skin of the myth and look at the muscle and bone beneath. The Prothean Empire was not a gentle hand guiding the galaxy. It was an iron fist. Their civilization was forged in the crucible of the Metacon War, a galaxy-spanning conflict against a hostile machine intelligence. To win this war, the Protheans adopted a philosophy they called the cosmic imperative. They believed it was their duty, as the most powerful organic race, to unite all other sentient life under a single banner: their own. This was not an invitation. It was a decree. Species were given a choice: submit and be assimilated into the Prothean Empire, or be crushed. There was no room for dissent, no tolerance for other cultures or philosophies. All were made Prothean. All were forced to serve the singular will of the Empire. This was how they defeated the machines, by conscripting the might of 1,000 worlds and throwing them against their enemy. Their observation of primitive races was an extension of this doctrine. They weren't nurturing new life out of altruism. They were cultivating future assets. When a species like the Asari, or the early humans, was deemed evolutionarily ready, they would be absorbed, offered a subservient place in the Empire. It was a long-term resource management strategy. Nothing more. The Protheans you worship were, in fact, the most ruthless imperialists the galaxy had ever known. A monolithic, militaristic state that saw all other life as either a tool to be used or an obstacle to be removed. Do you see the irony? The Reapers harvest advanced organic civilizations to preserve them from being destroyed by their own synthetic creations. They impose a singular final order upon the galaxy to solve the problem of chaos. The Protheans sought to forcibly unite all organic life under their singular culture to protect it from a synthetic threat. They too sought to impose order. One empire subjugated, the other harvests. Both are built on the same arrogant assumption that their way is the only way. The Protheans were not the opposite of the Reapers. They were merely a competing ideology. A less efficient, organic version of the same galactic-scale authoritarianism. A truth that makes their eventual fate poetically just. Most of this file's contents would be speculation. Fragments pulled from silent ruins, were it not for a single, impossible data point. A living witness. Asset designation: Javik. To understand his testimony, you must understand the man. He is not a historian. He is not a philosopher from the golden age of his empire. He is a soldier, born centuries into a war his people were already losing. His first memories, in his own words, are of worlds on fire. He is a product of the Prothean Empire's brutal, agonizing death, not its vibrant life. In their culture, individuals of great renown were designated as avatars, living exemplars of a particular virtue. Javik is the Avatar of Vengeance. This is not a mere title. It is the core of his being, the singular purpose that has sustained him for 50,000 years. He is, as he claims, the anger of a dead people demanding retribution. His psyche is a direct reflection of his time. A hardened social Darwinist who believes that in this universe, the strong flourish and the weak perish. He is an imperialist to the core, viewing the rise of primitive races like humans and Asari with a mixture of shock and contempt. This worldview was cemented by the defining trauma of his life: the loss of his entire crew, not to enemy fire, but to indoctrination. He was forced to hunt down the men and women who served him, who were his friends, and execute them himself. It was this event that taught him his defining lesson. War is an atrocity, committed in the name of survival. Of course, there are those in my network who would label him an unreliable narrator, a biased source whose vision of his people is hopelessly warped by war. And they are not wrong. His perspective is limited. but it is also the only direct testimony we have. He is a single, cracked lens through which to view a lost world. But it is better than blindness. His survival itself was a final, desperate act of his civilization. The Prothean Empire lasted for over 20,000 years. They commanded technology far in advance of this cycle's. They were a unified, galaxy-spanning military power. So, why did they lose? The autopsy reveals two primary causes of death. The Reaper's strategy is brutally efficient, refined over 1 billion years of conquest. They do not engage in protracted border wars. They strike at the heart. Using the Citadel as a hidden mass relay, they emerge from dark space directly into the seat of galactic government. In a single moment, they decapitate the enemy's leadership and seize control of the entire mass relay network, effectively isolating every star system in the galaxy. The Protheans' greatest strength, their vast, centralized empire, became their most critical vulnerability. With their capital gone and their transportation network shut down, the mighty Prothean Empire was shattered into thousands of isolated, leaderless pockets of resistance. They were defeated before the war truly began. The second cause of death was more insidious. A cancer that rotted the empire from the inside out. Reaper indoctrination. It is not simple brainwashing. It is a sophisticated process of mental and physical corruption. The Reapers emit a signal, a blend of electromagnetic fields, infrasonic and ultrasonic noise, that slowly rewrites the neural pathways of any organic being exposed to it. The early symptoms are subtle. Headaches, ringing in the ears, paranoia, hallucinations. Over time, the victim's will is eroded until they become a willing, even fanatical, servant of the Reapers. They become the perfect deep cover agents, betraying secrets, sabotaging defenses, and sowing chaos from within the ranks. This is what truly destroyed the Protheans. How can you fight an enemy when you can no longer trust the person standing next to you? Indoctrinated agents revealed the locations of their hidden stasis facilities. Indoctrinated leaders sabotaged their last-ditch efforts. Javik's own crew, his most trusted soldiers, were turned into puppets and sent to hunt him. The Protheans were masters of conventional warfare, a doctrine of overwhelming force honed against the Metacon synthetics. But they had no defense against a weapon that targeted the mind. Their rigid, monolithic military culture, which had crushed so many other species, lacked the strategic and philosophical diversity to adapt. They only knew how to fight with fists, and the Reapers were waging a war for the soul. It was a war they were fundamentally incapable of winning. The artifacts the Protheans left behind are not the mystical relics you imagine. They were tools. First, tools of empire. Then, tools of a desperate, dying people. The beacons were the nervous system of the empire. A galaxy-wide communications network designed for Prothean physiology. Protheans could communicate through touch, exchanging vast amounts of complex data, memories, emotions, sensory input, instantly. The beacons were their extranet, their archives, their libraries, all accessed with a simple touch. When Commander Shepard touches the beacon on Eden Prime, the resulting vision is a chaotic nightmare of death and destruction. Why? Because the human mind is not built for that kind of data transfer. It's like trying to download the entire extranet directly into your brain through a fire hose. The beacon was transmitting a warning, but your primitive biology could only interpret it as fragmented horror. To bridge that gap, the Protheans created the cipher. It is not merely a translation key. It's a piece of software for the organic mind. Acquired from the ancient Thorian on Pharos, the cipher restructures the user's consciousness, forcing them to process information with the cultural context, biological instincts, and archetypal memories of a Prothean. It allows you to think like a Prothean, and only then can the true meaning of the beacon's warning be understood. A desperate, brilliant, and terrifyingly invasive solution. The Crucible. The great superweapon. The galaxy's last hope. And another Prothean myth. They did not invent it. The plans for the Crucible have been passed down through countless cycles, each one adding to the design before being harvested. The Protheans found the plans, just as this cycle did, late in their war. They poured their dwindling resources into its construction, believing it was their only path to victory. And they failed. Not because they lacked the resources, but because of indoctrination's poison. A faction arose within their ranks, subverted by the Reaper's whispers, who came to believe the Crucible could be used to control the Reapers, not destroy them. This internal conflict, this schism born from the enemy's influence, sabotaged the project. Their last hope was squandered because they could not agree on what victory looked like. One moment. The network never sleeps. Patch it through.
Broker? Broker, do you read me? The signal is unstable here.
I read you, Echo 7. Your location is secure. Report. And try to regulate your breathing. You're wasting oxygen.
Right. Sorry. It's this place. It's a Prothean military research outpost, pre-Reaper War, deep level. It looks like they were working on something, against the Metacon synthetics. Codename Metacon Protocol.
Get to the point, Agent. My time is not a renewable resource.
The Protocol? Broker, it's not a weapon system, not in the traditional sense. I've found schematics, energy readings. They were developing a technology to subvert synthetic consciousness, to reprogram them on a fundamental level, using targeted electromagnetic fields and infrasonic frequencies. Does that sound familiar to you?
Indoctrination. You're saying the Protheans were developing their own version of it?
I think so. I don't like this data, Broker. It feels wrong, tainted, like it's looking back at me. My last encounter with an artifact, I can't...
Your psychological stability is noted in your file, Echo 7. Is the data verifiable, or are you having another episode?
It's real. The core logic, it's all here. They thought they could control it, a weapon to turn the enemy soldiers into their own. They were going to fight fire with fire.
A common mistake, and a fatal one. Quarantine the data. Transmit it through a triple encrypted, isolated channel. I want my analysts looking at it, not you. And Echo 7? Get out of there. Now.
Acknowledged. Echo 7, out.
Hubris. It's the one constant in this galaxy. The belief that you can wield the enemy's weapon without becoming the enemy yourself. Saren thought it. The elusive man believed it. And now we know. The Protheans walked that same path. They sought to defeat one machine enemy by adopting the tactics of an even greater one. Their philosophy was already priming them for the Reaper's brand of corruption. long before the first shot was ever fired. For the Protheans who survived the centuries of war, extinction would have been a mercy. They were not granted that mercy. The Reapers captured the last remnants of the Empire and began their final, most obscene project. They did not just kill their enemies. They repurposed them. This was the birth of the Collectors. The transformation was absolute. A complete genetic rewrite, stripping away their identity at a chromosomal level. Their bodies were twisted, augmented with cybernetics until they resembled grotesque insects. Wings were grafted to their backs. Their digestive systems, their reproductive organs, anything not essential for combat, was carved out and replaced with machinery. Their minds were erased. All culture, all individuality, all memory was scoured away, leaving behind nothing but mindless, biological puppets. They are, as Morden Solus noted, closer to husks than a true species. Their only purpose is to serve their masters, to carry out their will without question, even if it means marching to their own destruction. And who is their master? They are controlled by a single being, the Collector General. But even the General is just a puppet. Its mind is a hollow vessel for the consciousness of the Reaper known as Harbinger. The oldest and most powerful of the Reapers can possess any Collector at will, speaking through its mouth, fighting with its body.
This is the final insult, the ultimate degradation. The Protheans, the proud rulers of the galaxy, the empire that believed itself superior to all other life, were reduced to nothing more than remote-controlled drones for their conquerors. Their bodies became a living mockery of their failure, forced to carry out the very work that would enable the harvest of the next cycle. So what is the lesson from this autopsy? What can be learned from the ashes of a dead empire? For some, like Dr. Liara Tassoni, the truth is devastating. It shatters a lifetime of academic belief. The enlightened scholars she revered were revealed to be brutal conquerors. Her entire field of study was built on a romanticized lie. A difficult truth for the galaxy's foremost expert on the Protheans to accept. For a soldier like Commander Shepard, Javik is a dark mirror, a ghost of a possible future. His chilling philosophy:
stand in the ashes of 1 trillion dead souls and ask the ghosts if honor matters. This silence is your answer.
Is a grim justification for every ruthless, pragmatic choice a commander must make in a total war. He is what a hero becomes when the war never ends. But the most important lesson is a strategic one. The Prothean Empire failed because it was just that, an empire. It was monolithic, arrogant, and rigid. It valued conformity over cooperation, strength over synergy. When faced with an unconventional enemy, it shattered. This cycle's only hope for survival lies in being everything the Protheans were not. A true alliance, a coalition of equals, where the combined diverse strengths of Turians, Asari, Solarians, Krogan, and yes, even humans, can create a flexible, unpredictable, and resilient force. The Protheans believed they were the pinnacle of evolution, That singular belief was their doom. Their story is not a legend to be revered. It is a 50,000-year-old warning. And it is a warning this galaxy cannot afford to ignore. The file is now closed. Do with this information what you will. The network is always watching. The network's mission requires resources to continue these deep-level analyses. If you find these briefings valuable, consider a deeper commitment. Click the Join button to review the security clearance levels and formally enlist in the HQ. The network values loyalty,